Good evening, Mr. Silavwe, once again.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Glad to see that we've got you back and that the internet connection appears to be stable right now. So as we were talking, you had mentioned that these adverts about contraception were going against our Christian values. I'm going to ask you to just quickly, for our audience, refresh their minds about your stance before I get into the next question.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, you are very right. I want to confirm that we are advocating for the withdrawal of TV adverts and the radio as local languages, promoting the use of contraceptives amongst the young people. I want to qualify that. Why? Because number one, it is against our Christian morals, values as a country. You will recall, or you know that you are aware that Zambia has been declared a Christian nation, and there is no way amongst the Christian tenets where it says there should be promotion of sexual activities amongst unmarried young people before marriage. It's totally against that. So we should not be a nation that is just a Christian nation in words, and yet in functionality and actions we are actually totally doing something wrong. Apart from that, secondly, the reason why we are advocating for the withdrawal of those adverts that we have seen, especially on the national broadcaster and radio stations, both private and public, is that it goes against our cultural norms as a country. It goes against our cultural norms as a country of our culture is just does not allow such. It's unheard of. When we were growing up, it was unheard of to even talk about sex. But we're saying we should not talk about sex. We need, but I think the apex message to the young people should be, can they abstain? And then those that cannot abstain, then we can give them certain other alternatives.
Now, Mr. Silavwe, I just have to interrupt you there because you're saying that it goes against our cultural norms. I will put aside religion because I feel like that's a different conversation for a different time. So looking at our cultural norms, what then do you call the coming of age ceremonies where certain things are taught to young men and women at a certain age? A girl of 13 years old, she is nowhere near adequate in order to understand certain happenings about her body, but she is learning about sex from much older women at 13, possibly even 10, because some young girls start their periods at around that time. So how would you then say they are supposed to then access this information, especially when it comes to contraception?
I think, first of all, that is a misconception that you have just misdirected a cultural norm. I think I need to correct you. What you have referred to as the teaching of a young child or a girl who has become of age, it has got nothing to do with sex. I want to make that very clear, because this is what the Western media has propagated, has pushed on Africans. What is taught to a young lady is how to keep herself since she has now become of age. That is very critical. And that is a positive cultural aspect of our culture.
Just on that point, sir, once again, I would have to interrupt you. As a young girl myself, as a Bemba woman, there are certain things that I was taught at a certain age. Now, granted, this is probably not the platform to discuss that, but you would have to find a way to actually incorporate that in traditional norms.
They never told you to go and sleep with a man. No, definitely they never did that. That one I can guarantee you. They taught you how to look after yourself because you were now of age. Our culture does not allow for a young lady who is unmarried to go and sleep with a man. Is that what you are telling me that you were taught?
No, that's not the conversation that happens, but there are certain teachings within that teaches a young girl, even young boys, because I cannot speak on that. I have not been a part of those ceremonies, but speaking on other issues to do with traditional norms, to do with cultural norms that are being taught, certain aspects of that are being taught. So how then do you deter from, let's say, the curiosity of young men and women? Because this is something that exists given the high pregnancy rate that we are seeing in the country.
Okay. You need to understand that when it comes to sexual matters, whatever way you look at it, even from a cultural point of view, it does not allow a young person to indulge in any sexual activities. That is the bench line. And for us as a party, what we are advocating for is that what we need as a country is the promotion of abstinence amongst young people. You know, the use of contraceptives, let me put it in an example. It's like you have got a child who is a thief. And by all means, you are supposed to tell this child what you are doing is wrong. But simply you tell them, no, you can continue to steal, but just avoid the police officers. If they catch you, you go to jail. One way or another, they will face the consequences of stealing. And that is when you look at it from the Christian perspective, as well as you look at it from the cultural perspective. All these two important aspects of our society promote abstinence, and we need to do that. We need to get back to the message of abstinence, to make abstinence famous, so that we can avoid teenage pregnancies and STIs as well as teenage pregnancies.
So, Mr. Silavwe, just to interrupt you again, excuse me. So then how then do you explain the increased rate of teenage pregnancies that are happening right now? And this is in lieu of the fact that there are these adverts. They have the access to the information from schools, but this is still going on. So now you do remember the case of these 700 girls, the rate where women, young girls, were being impregnated by minors. So how then do you think that this is going to be tackled by preaching abstinence when this is something that is going on anyway?
First of all, I want to make it very clear. There is also a misconception that perhaps I'm denying the fact that premarital sex does not take place. No, I want to agree with you that premarital sex does happen. It does take place in our society. But how do you address such anomalies in our society? Is to ensure that we go for the apex solution. What is the supreme solution to these issues that society is facing now? We need the promotion of abstinence. We need to go back to being faithful to one partner. We need to go back in the third maybe category. That's when we begin to talk about contraceptives and condoms. But would have saved a larger pool of young people from engaging into these sexual activities. I think you know very well the psychology of the young people, that if you give a young person that you can use contraceptives, you are simply telling them, go and indulge in sex. Something that even the Zambian people have alighted in your vox pop, that you are giving them a blank check to go and engage in sexual activities. And no wonder we have witnessed high levels of abortion, high levels of teenage pregnancies, because young people are no longer holding to a higher standard. And a higher standard for society as Zambia, we need to promote abstinence. And then perhaps we need to go back to the ABC.
Okay, Mr. Silavwe, I hear you. We could battle this out for a while, but I think that I do understand your stance, and you do have some validity. I will give you that, but I think this will have to be an S24 special in order for us to continue this conversation, most definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.